That song will wake you up.
School.
Yeah, that'll wake you up, but we need to go to sleep. Pix 11 is your back to school headquarters, and this morning the topic is sleep.
Yes, your kids, of course, have been on that great summer schedule that may mean irregular hours and, of course, not enough sleep. So what do you do with now just under 3 weeks before we go back to public schools and they reopen in the city?
And for some tips, we turn to Dr. Harpreet Paul. He is the chair of pediatrics at Hackensack Meridian School of Medicine. So welcome, Dr. Paul. Thanks for being with us this morning.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let's get down to the basics. How much sleep should our school-age kids be getting, and how do we break it down by age?
Yeah, wonderful question. So it really does depend on the age of the child. For preschool age children, we're talking about 10 to 12 hours of sleep a night. Once they're school age, it drops down a little bit. So now we're talking 8 to 12 hours of sleep. And then once they're teenagers, it's 8 to 10 hours. So it really does depend on the age of the child, but that's how much sleep would be ideal for their ages.
All right, so we know it's still summer. We still want the kids to have fun. We don't want to hit them on the back of the head with, okay, we're getting ready to go back to school. So how should parents kind of start gently getting them back on that sleep schedule?
Yeah, that's really important to do it gently, because if you try to do this the night before school starts, you're going to have a rude awakening. Yeah, not happening. So it's good to do it gradually. And one advice that parents can give their kids is to let's cut down bedtime by 15 minutes each night until we're at the right bedtime for the wake up the next morning. So that gets them into that routine, and it's good to do that now, given that school is just a couple of weeks away.
I mean, because honestly, what really happens biologically if kids don't get enough sleep?
There's a couple of effects, and there's been research that's been done on this. So number one is that the body's sleep time is a time for it to regenerate itself. That's when the immune system repairs itself. That's when the brain is able to cool down and turn itself off. So that's really a restorative time for the body. If we don't get enough sleep, this can have a number of effects. So in school, children may not be paying attention. That can obviously affect their performance at school. Also, a lack of sleep can affect their mental and emotional health, which we know is so important for everybody. And finally, the immune system is impacted by a lack of sleep as well. So a couple of really important effects by not getting enough sleep.
I do have a quick question for you. So you said like school-aged kids have a certain number of hours they should sleep. But I have kids that are close in age. One needs a lot of sleep and one doesn't seem to need as much sleep. Is there any truth to that, or should they be the same? Am I making any sense here? Because one of my daughters is like, I don't need to sleep that much. And she sleeps late and then gets up early and is perfectly fine.
Yeah, and there's definitely variation between kids. So the guidance that I just presented to you in terms of number of hours, there's a little bit of variability. I think as parents, it's important that we keep a close eye on our kids and see if there's any symptoms of a lack of sleep. So it could be very subtle sometimes, just in terms of, for example, hyperactivity. In adults, when we don't get enough sleep, we feel drowsy the next morning. In kids, sometimes what happens is that they might actually look hyper if they don't get enough sleep. So important for parents just to be aware of what some of the symptoms could be.
Right, and to that point, you have, obviously different ages. So some kids are still napping, some are not. So is it possible for kids to perhaps get too much sleep?
It would be a little challenging for them to get too much sleep. In younger kids, as I mentioned, it can be up to 12 hours a day, and especially if they take a nap, they should be well within that amount. So I think it's unlikely, and I think that the body will adjust itself so that there's not an overabundance of sleep, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what you think, because there has been debate in schools about starting the school day later so that kids get more sleep. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, there certainly has been a debate about that. And I know that in high school, for example, potentially starting a little bit earlier so that kids can get enough sleep the night before that can optimize their performance at school is definitely one side of the debate. And I happen to agree with that. I think that start time, for example, at 7 a.m. is a little early. And if we want to prioritize sleep in kids, then it's important that we account for that.
Right. And we can't forget parents also have the responsibility of now doing everything earlier. Dinner time has to move up so that they can get to bed.
But you know what? Parents need to go to bed too, though,
There
Dr.
we go.
Paul.
They need to go to bed.
We need our sleep.
I couldn't agree more. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old at home, and I think that we need to be the role models for our
Yes.
kids. So we need to shut off our electronics. We need to have things that relax kids before bedtime. So talking to them about their day, for example. So we need to set the tone for sleep in the house.
Yeah, reading time to
Yes.
wind
Yes.
down.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Dr. Paul, for all your advice and tips. We really appreciate it. Go get some sleep.
My pleasure. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks so much. Take care.